welcome back to another video. I would just like to start things off by saying I believe this video is one of the more important ones I have done so far, and maybe the most important one. And that is because the topic I am talking about today is something I truly believe in. I have facts and evidence to prove it, and I believe that if this happens, it could help us a lot. And whether it helps or not, it will definitely change our future a lot. So today's topic is going to be about how AI and its impacts are going along the process of becoming mainstream and changing our world forever. I would like to talk about two key examples today that I believe show this fact, and I will back up with evidence at the end. So the first fact that I would like to talk about is games. Specifically, video games have become a big part of what we do as a society. Even if you don't play video games or like you don't even know what the popular video games are or anything, you do know what they are, and you know millions of people play it, and it is becoming known as a sort of sport, more like an esport, which means electronic sport, but still becoming a sort of sport that is watched by millions, played by millions, and is known by billions. Now, the reason I bring this up is because AI has its capability. You probably know, like, you can use ChatGPT to get code, but any real coder knows the code isn't good, and it has a lot of errors, especially with big projects. But now AI is actually becoming super good, and there have been entire games like that have been made just by AI. And like, while these games are maybe simpler form of games in themselves are very hard to code, no matter how easy or simple it seems. The concepts of when you turn them into reality, stop glitches and stuff, are super hard to code, and the fact that AI is able to do this now is super exciting, I would say, but also very new and definitely deserve to talk about. Though, of course, it's kind of niche still, I would say, because its graphics are very subpar, and anyone could make better graphics than that if they spent 5 minutes learning how to make graphics. But the important thing about this is something I really want to point out is that even though this is kind of new, it's not just big companies or like important and influential people who are getting this and who are able to make these games. These games are being made by normal people with no influence whatsoever. And it's not just one person who's super good with AI. It's now there's been like hundreds of games like this, completely different concepts, and all of their graphics might suck. But the idea that this is possible and that it is being done without needing any influence, without needing an extraordinary amount of depth into what AI is or how to use AI, and you are just able to create this is truly mind blowing if you think about it, especially considering how new AI still is. And that isn't even the most important topic I would like to talk about today, because there is one more topic I would like to talk about, and that is some news with OpenAI. As you might know, OpenAI created ChatGPT, and some people call it expensive. That's not my say. Some people like DeepSeek better, but you have to admit it was the first big AI thing that became mainstream, or like whether you call it mainstream or not, it is known by millions. It is very influential, and though it doesn't change your life drastically, it is what made AI a household name when you talk about technology, especially recent technology. And it is probably what helped start this AI revolution, as I would like to call it. And the thing I'm talking about is it's been not foretold, it's been like shown and like said that they are releasing three new AI chatbots. These chatbots range from prices of 2K a month, 10K a month, and 20K a month. And before you think, oh, that is super expensive for an AI and you are not paying a cent, it is not for normal people, sadly. It is more for rich people or 90% just businesses. And the reason I'm saying this is because the way they showed it is it's basically the 2K a month AI will have qualities like to the level of a high paid knowledge worker would in a job. And the thing about this is when you think about it, 2K a month is 24K a year. which is way less than anybody needs to survive, at least in the US, and is therefore way less than anyone is getting paid for such a job. I want you to keep this in mind as I say the next things. The 10K a month is like a senior software engineer. And just think about this for a second. The average software engineer could work like senior one that has a important role in a big tech company. It could work. They could make 300K a year, and that's not even a big stretch. It's not. It's barely a stretch. It's slightly above the average salary for such a position, and is being sold for 10K a month, 12 months a year. That is only 120K, and that's almost like 2.5 times less. Now, the 20K a month, it's like a PhD level person. Do you know how much people would like? And like the thing about this is, even if the average salary of someone who has a PhD is only 1K, you need a PhD for if you're not making a business but working in one to go to colleges and work in colleges, and a lot of those, maybe not colleges, but like a lot of things where they only hire PhDs workers do get a lot more money than just 100K, and this is only 240K a year, which sounds like a lot until you realize that it can be used for stuff that would have cost companies way more, and it is coming in OpenAI super soon. And like, just think about this for a second. AI is coming to replace jobs by obviously will create new jobs in the form of AI, but it is saving companies, and it is also being able to be used in mainstream, like by everyday people, for creating whole entire games. And now it's time where I show you why I really think this is going to go mainstream. Obviously, everyone, you might say it's mainstream already, but for most mainstream things, there's three things that really set it apart. The three things are: one, it is known by the masses. Secondly, it is used by the masses. And third of all, definitely not least, it changes how people live their lives forever in crucial ways. AI does not do this just yet. I would say it does obviously help for the better, but not yet. Some examples of these would be the radio. Like the first, it was used in a presidential election to help a certain president win. And since then, it's changed our lives completely. In at least the form of presidents use media to like talk to the people. It is used for news instead of having to wait for a newspaper every day. Let's say you have a loved one out of war. Radio changed everything because you did not have to wait for a newspaper. You did not have to wait for someone going at your doorstep. You could use the radio at any point in the day. There would probably be something talking about the news. Then came television, same gist, uh, and then came the phone, very revolutionary, as everyone knows by now, changed our lives for the better or for the worse, but it changed our lives for sure. And now it's AI. Now, the average time for a lot of technologies like this is about 30 years to be made like properly and then to be adopted by mass media. AI has been around for way less than that, and it is already almost to the steps of becoming mainstream. And by that I mean, first, most of these things are created, obviously, but they are first big step is for them to be known by the masses. That is the easiest thing to be done. It has been done for a bunch of things that are not mainstream because they've been bust and have not actually affected our lives as we might have hoped. But it is obviously needed, and it is not as easy as it sounds to just create something and be known by the masses. And AI obviously is known by the masses. Secondly, it has to be revolutionary in some sort of way. And obviously, AI, as I've said in many of my videos, it can be revolutionary and it is becoming revolutionary. Third of all, that it's made in a way where it's used revolutionary and it's like used to change our lives for the better, but it is too expensive for the mass media. And that is the step it is going to right now. And there are very less things that get to that step and don't end up changing our lives. Because once it gets to that step, the very final step is to, once it is adopted, it can easily be made less expensive simply through technology or simply through by being adopted They know it's going to be more successful, so they can lower the cost because then the average price for the making the product also goes down. And once it gets to that step, it can be adopted by the mass media. AI will be adopted by the mass media, and it can change our lives forever. And I would like you to leave this on your own thought, like always. Think about what I said. And of course, you have to take everything with a grain of salt because anything can happen and we don't know. But I would like you to know that this can and it is on the track to change our lives forever. And this technology could help us in so many ways. You can also easily forget they can easily become smarter than us. They can help us with inventions we could have never discovered. They can do stuff we have never discovered. Average human cannot use multiple tabs at once and go through everything in a matter of milliseconds. And AI is doing that already. It's been doing that since the dawn of time. And obviously, I would like you to like and subscribe. Please share it with anyone you find thinks this might be interesting or anyone you might want to discuss this with. And obviously, I'm a new channel, so every follower, every subscriber helps me out a ton. You can give me feedback on my video. I'll gladly take it. But this is important, and I hope you never forget what I've said today. If it really does change your lives, because when something changes your life, knowing what it is helps you make sure it doesn't change your lives bad, but for good. Thank you.